Ray from the physical therapy department. Since this is something that we usually do during therapy is check all the wheelchairs to make sure the brakes and all are working well. And now that you're home, this very simple to just adjust the brakes, make them a little bit tighter. If you see here the mechanism for the brakes, and what happens is, you'll see it's just a pivot to tighten up the brakes. Okay, so the first thing you have to do with most chairs is to remove the wheel to get to the brakes. This one I could probably do without removing the wheel, but it's always a good thing to remove the wheel and just check. And you can clear anything that's within the wheel, hair, grass, or anything that's wrapped around the axle. That'll retain moisture and rust out the bearings. So that's something you want to check. You also want to just spray the bearings with something like WD-40. So now that I have the wheel open, I use this tool, just a set of hex wrenches. You should have gotten wrenches with the wheelchair. And if you don't have that, something like this comes in handy since it has most sizes. So all I have to do, find the correct size. This particular chair has a lot of rust. You may have to spray it a few times with something like WD-40. However, if I can get that in, I'm just loosening it by turning it to the left. Again, left loosens, right tightens. And I'm gonna do that with both sides. Okay, and again, the wheel is off. So once I get this where it's loose enough to move, slide it back and forth. And if you do have a little bit of trouble sliding it back and forth, tap with a hammer, we'll move it. If you find it difficult to move these screws, you can just tap it a bit with a hammer, and sometimes that's enough to loosen up the screws. So, once I move it back, and it usually only takes a quarter of an inch, half an inch, I'm gonna place the wheel back on, and then I'm gonna check the brakes. What I do is just see if it looks like it's gonna be tight enough. If it does, I will tighten it up, just one of them. Okay. Just one. And I'll test the brakes. And if the brakes lock, when it's fully extended and it locks, then I know that's tight enough. Okay. It might take you a few tries just to get it exactly right. And once it's tightened up, it should be okay. Again, every time you lock the brakes, it does put stress on that and it will loosen the brakes. Real quickly too, just a real quick idea, anything that you're able to tighten with the hex wrench, I would advise you to do. This is the mounting bracket for the seat back. They come in different forms. This one here is just a simple L bracket, but it's very important to keep those tight at all times, as that's the only thing holding the back of the chair onto the frame. You might have seat brackets as well. This chair actually has a different mechanism for reclining, and that's controlled by the cables that run underneath. You might want to check the cables too. If you're having some problems, you may tighten it up just a little bit. Put a wrench to hold that and just hand twist it. Just make sure those cables are nice and tight, and that will help keep the tilt mechanisms working well. Headrest, again, removing that. Just cover, you'll see the mechanism here helps stabilize the chair. If you loosen that, you're going to be able to rotate the headrest. And as well as this mechanism right here on the end of that, that's going to help keep it nice and tight. And this right here has to be tightened to keep it from turning. That will rotate. So again, this mechanism is for forward and back. This is for how you adjust it on the angle. And this is the height on the wheelchair. Other things you can look at real quickly are just the leg rest. A lot of times they do get knocked out and loose, as you can see, this one is. The only thing you have to do there is the foot plate. You just have to tighten that screw, and this one's missing a screw, but that will tighten it up for you. And again, you can check the front just to make sure that's tight, because that's the bracket that actually holds the foot plate on. And as you can see, they do get loose, and that one's very loose. So again, if you get a tool like this and you just Home Depot or one of the home goods stores, and you should just be home improvement stores, I should say, and you should just be able to just tighten up all the loose fittings on the wheelchair. And again, the axle, most chairs, this chair's got a small wheel, they are removable. And again, you want to just spray that down or even wipe a little oil on it if you don't have a spray, just to keep it well lubricated. That's it for now. Hopefully any repairs that have to be done, well, I guess the vendors aren't going out. So anything small, such as brakes and all, hopefully we'll be seeing the children soon, and we can take care of that again. That's something we do all the time in physical therapy, is we just check out the chairs, make sure there's nothing loose or missing. And again, with the wheelchairs, if you are missing any of the hardware, and you just keep it, and when you're back at school, if you can send it in so we can take a look and see exactly what you need, and if a vendor has to be called. Stay safe, and I hope everyone's doing well.